The worst thing that someone can go through is to outlive their child. Children are born with a responsibility overcast their heads to carry on the family legacy and take care of their parents in their old age. Death comes for all, but it is naturally accepted for the old. When the young die, it's always more painful. Still Walking, Hirokazu Kore-eda's 2008 feature promises a story of a family reunion on the death anniversary of the first son of Kyohei and Toshiko. The son dies a noble death trying to save a boy from drowning in the ocean. This 2-hour film follows three family units coming together to spend an entire day after a long time. There's the old pair, now grandparents, and their two living children who come to visit them. One is a son who's arrived with his new wife, previously a widow, and his stepson. The other is a daughter, with her normal family of two children she's created with her easygoing husband. I'll try to talk about my favorite aspects of this movie without giving too much of the plot away, because this movie isn't one with a very exciting or happening plot. It's just a simple story that should be experienced. It is a movie about loss, about family, and really, truly, the interactions between the members. This movie is quite personal to Kore-eda, who wrote it after his mother's death, nostalgic about his own childhood. The movie places every character inside an archetype that they subtly yet definitely live up to. The mother nags and demands. The father is aloof and temperamental. The son is defensive and feels underappreciated. The daughter is unemotional and practical. The father is a doctor who wants to seem important, even after retiring. He is petty and grouchy and a passing stereotype of a patriarch. The son dislikes meeting his family. He lives under the heavy resentment displayed directly by his father or passive aggressively by his mother for being the disappointing son that lived. All the daughter wants is for her mother to stop repeating the stories about her dead brother that are of no use to anyone and move back home. And finally, the mother solidifies her role as the gossiper, who puts everyone in their place with subtle insults or remarks. The characters are three-dimensional, but are plotted on a graph sheet. Their behavior is predictable, and even when it's not, it's unsurprising. That is the beauty of this movie. The director wants you to know that the characters have these rich inner lives, where they ponder and think deeply, but it's never really revealed to us. All we see is the action that comes out of this thinking, which is familiar and expected. In this way, the film feels like a live painting. We are the visitors to this gallery, watching the painting for hours, trying to understand what about it is so familiar, what makes it feel like you've lived it before, what must be going on in their heads. Yet we take it all in. This is intentional by the way the film itself is shot, where the camera never moves. It's stationary, capturing every movement within its frame. It pans only in a few locations in the entire movie, and when it does, it jolts you from the dreamlike screening, reminding you that there happens to be more outside the frame that isn't shown. At its core, the story is about projections. The death of someone dear allows you to put on rose-colored lenses to project their most ideal self. You project your failed hopes and dreams onto them. The dead son was the ideal son, who would have taken over his father's practice and taken care of them in their old age. The dead have it easy, the dead have it good, as the practical daughter comments. But we've got our hands full taking care of the living. These projections are often misplaced throughout the story. The father projects his disappointment of losing his first son onto the failures of the second son to live up to his expectations. While he resents his son, he takes a liking to his step-grandson. He tries to assert his views and advice onto the young boy, trying to make up for his failure of turning either of his sons into doctors. The mother places her expectations onto her daughter-in-law when it is the daughter who yearns for it. Expectations from other family members are tossed around to someone else entirely, and nobody is satisfied with their roles. They crave, almost demand closure, but they never get the closure they deserve. Toshiko, the mother, invites the boy that her son died, saving every year to guilt trip him. This brings her satisfaction of having someone to blame. Yet she never actually receives closure or experiences catharsis. Everyone in this film has hopes and wishes for change, wishes to be treated differently. Words that are expected to be said are left unsaid, and when communicated, aren't followed through. They never take the step to change themselves, maintaining the fundamental family structure that has existed for decades and continues to exist. That is the familiarity, the essence of life that Kore-eda captures perfectly in this movie. Kore-eda, known for shoplifters and other family dramas, though the word drama is quite a misrepresentation, plays with symbols. Butterflies represent the dead, closed doors represent the characters avoiding conflict or spending time with the rest of the family, and the bright sakura flowers that represent the innocence of the children that seem to bring a certain lightness to the movie. He puts his characters in repeated locations or rooms, crowding them in small spaces, forcing them to get along. And they do, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes silently, and sometimes gracefully. Conversations take the shape of the room they are put in, and so do the family members. There's not much that changes in how the members of the family interact with each other. If any, these are subtle or temporary. It's different when they're outside though, walking down the long empty roads of Japan towards the beach or the graveyard. The progress of their relationships can really be tracked by how Kore-eda shows different conversations or changing dynamics in these few spots outside. While they are all still walking, they have realized something new about each other. They have tried changing something about themselves. This film really represents Sunday afternoons for me, maybe because that was when I watched it. It's a strong yet gentle reminder of familial bonds and quality time. Snarky comments passed by our family members, of conversations and unsaid words, and of trying to find that alone time in some corner of the house, away from the noise. It's a visually minimalist film, but a story so rich and so full of life when its premise is based on death. It is exactly what is needed to unwind and slow down time. In my book, this is a must watch.